Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Har Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone, many blessings and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the house of David, the Bayafta Wadafum. These epistles are written for in these last days. Shalom to the elect. This was an interesting article I wanted to go into, and it's not going to be a long lesson. I just pray that this is edifying for those of you that have the eyes salve and the ears to hear. All right, so as you see from the title, this is from the WEF. It says why the U.S. dollar will be indispensable as the world's reserve currency, ... until it's not. We already know what this is going into, okay? They are sick of the dollar, and I'm talking about the elite, and they're ready to replace it with that one world government. How do you control the people? Well, by the way they buy and sell, right? It says, and this is just like one of the bullet points, it says the U.S. dollar is at a near record high, but its future role as the world's reserve currency continues to be questioned due to financial fragmentation and global debt concerns. That goes into Daniel 2:41. Okay? Because now it's causing a fracture amongst the head elite of this society. They want to do something about it. Okay? I'm sorry. It says the world's love-hate relationship with the U.S. dollar was the focus of leading economists at the town hall during the the WEF annual meeting in 2025. It says in a session called State of Play U.S. Dollar, the panel explored the dollar's status as the world's leading currency and expectations for its future. Right. So they're giving you an outline as to letting you know that they're looking to replace the dollar as the top currency. I mean, and the Lord used America as a way to control these other nations. It says it right here in Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And now they're coming out and they're boldly proclaiming within the WEF that the dollar may need to be changed as the currency of the world. Because if the dollar crashes, all these other economies are tied to them. Okay? And you have to make sure that they're, because that's how America keeps their global hegemony, right? Because they're going to try to eventually they're going to bring it down out of power. All right, talking about the banking families, right? Now we're going to jump down. We're going to touch a little bit of everything. Make sure we're covering everything. Salakia for my I'm just coming down off of flu, man. So just kind of work with me, brothers and sisters, okay? It says the U.S. dollar's exorbitant privilege. This is the economist on the panel who hailed from countries all over the world raised questions about the U.S. fiscal trajectory. What does that mean? Well, that means that they're questioning how much longer do we have to be up under the system currently. What does that mean? Well, that means that we're getting ready to go to a system that's going to be run by what? A one world government. How do you control one world government? Well, what? One fiscal understanding. What does that mean? Well, that means we're going to need first and foremost, we're going to need a new financial system, and we're going to need to control it under one brand so that we don't have all these other countries out here, trying to create their own. It says both parties in the United States seem to think that debt is a free lunch. They're talking shit. It says noted Harvard economist Kenneth Rogoff pointing out that the interest payments on federal debt now surpasses the entire U.S. defense budget. Meanwhile, the dollar remains at near record highs relative to other currencies, highs not seen since 1985 and 2002. In both previous cases, Rogoff noted that the currency fell significantly within a year or two. Right, so as you can see, he's explaining, like, look, those are short-lived. But what about the long term? That's what he's saying. What about the long term? What about if you don't think ahead? Well, they already doing this. This is really for show. Right? It says the U.S. has so far prioritized remaining the world's leading currency and keeping its exorbitant privilege economics term for the combination of lower borrowing costs and seigniorage benefits of nations ensuing the global reserve currency. All of this is going to lead to them wanting to bring everybody under one world system. Okay, this is where it's going to. This is First Maccabees 1:41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. That's what this is going into. This is the second leg of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is the overarching beast. All right, but there's a horde that rides the beast, and that's America. Okay, the EU and NATO are back here again under the same system, which is the Roman Empire. They want the entire Roman Empire to rule the entire earth forever and ever and ever. Verse 42, it says, and everyone should leave his laws. And so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king, which is Babylon the Great right now, right? Goes into Jeremiah 51:7. It says, verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So, as you see, and we're getting ready to come into the Passat in a couple of days. Salakia for my coughing, like I said again, just bear with me. But we're getting ready to come into Passat, and there's a lot of sifting going on. And right now, prophecy is expanding and moving quickly. And we're calling it out as we were commanded to in Habakkuk 2. Okay. Verse 44 says, for the king, and this is in 1 Maccabees 1:44, call on Yahweh Shemal Shah. It says, for the king has sent letters by messengers into Jerusalem and cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. That's the goal, y'all. I want to put a chip in you. I want to put a chip in you. I want to control you. Okay? That's the name of the game. They want this beast to speak. Okay? How do you make it speak? Through the laws. This is Revelation 13:15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. There's no way around this. Okay? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And so you're going to change this by using the system to speak on your behalf. You're going to present yourself, and according to Revelation 13:11, you can present yourself as a lamb, but really, you're a lion through the laws. This is the part of the article I really want to get to. This is a new financial infrastructure, right? It says, rather than a dramatic displacement of the U.S. dollar, one future trajectory might involve countries' gradual diversification through creation of new financial ties and infrastructure. China has established around 40 bilateral currency swap lines with developing countries, pointing out economist Jen Qiu. It says these efforts, she explained, are part of a long-term strategy to reduce dependence on the dollar. China's share of the trade invoiced in renminbi has grown from 20% a decade ago to 56% today. Jen said, emphasizing the rapid pace of change, while the U.S. Federal Reserve maintains credit swap lines with many advanced economies, the existing system often underserves developing nations. That goes into all both small and great, right? And no, that ain't talking about just countries, talking about the people that are in the countries, right, Nate? And now they're going to look away because the dollar is not strong enough, all right, to reach, even as he's saying, countries that are in development, meaning newer countries. And now look, you see what's going on? The WEF is spelling it out for you. Okay? They're spelling it out. Esau is looking to create this new system, and if you are not with it, if you're not down with that, he's going to eliminate you. Okay? Continuing, it says, you have to be a friend of the Fed in these situations, said Rogoff. Now, that's what look, you got to be a friend versus everybody being under this one rulership, this $1, or not dollar, one currency, which is, we understand, is going to be the C to the H to the I to the P. It says, noting that the Federal Reserve has increasingly become the world's liquidity provider in times of crisis. The Fed's been fairly generous, but by no means is everybody a friend of the Fed. What are we talking about here? Well, he's talking about everybody. Everybody needs to be under this new system. What's the new system? The chip. RFID. The Fed's increasingly dual role as both the U.S. central bank and de facto lender of last resort to much of the world also poses challenges for setting monetary policy. Rajan highlighted the tensions of emerging market central bankers in responding to Fed policies. Well, we got to find a way to get around this. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to create the chip. We're going to use that as the one that's going to define everyone. Everybody's under it, right? Both small and great, rich and poor, right? Free and bond, right? You see where it's going. Despite aggressive Fed rate hikes, U.S. financial conditions remain surprisingly loose in many areas, such as credit and equity markets. This leads to a paradox where emerging markets feel compelled to intervene in their own domestic markets to maintain stability. That's what they don't want you to do. They want the entire world, okay, to be under one system. right now. Now, it was under the dollar. It's still under the dollar. It's still under the dollar. But as they're pointing out, it's not stable enough. It's not stable enough to usher in the new system. Right? Revelation 17:1, it says, "And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." And what do the water represents? Peoples. It says, "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." The dollar was used to bring in that fornication. They're bending to the will of the dollar because of its immense power worldwide. Now they're getting ready to usher that system out and bring in a new system, right? Revelation 17:17, it says, "For the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High." All right, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. Verse 18, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city," talking about America, "which reigneth over the kings of the earth." So this is talking about America, which rules over the rest of the earth. But now we're coming into a time where those nations are mad. That goes back to Jeremiah 51:7, Daniel 2:41. That thick clay is starting to build up, and they're getting tired of it. Now they're looking for a solution, problem, reaction, solution, right? Order apkeo. They're seeking a new system, which they already had planned for anyway. They just needed the opportunity, you know? And what better opportunity than this? This is while cryptocurrencies and transparent digital payment systems could present advantages for some transactions and markets, few economists see private forms of money. Listen to what they're saying right here now. Few economists see private forms of money, such as Bitcoin, replacing the U.S. dollar or other state-anchored currencies in the near or medium term. Diversification to other currencies is not a simple matter of switching from dollars to euros or yuan. For example, it requires strengthening connections between banks and clearinghouses and other institutional shifts that could take years, if not decades, to develop. So what are they saying here, guys? They're setting you up for the okie doke. This is a gradual shift from the U.S. dollar. It's a gradual shift. That's that word again. A gradual shift from U.S. dollar dominance. Gradual evolution may be preferable to abrupt shifts, because sudden changes in the financial architecture or geopolitical fragmentation of the financial system carry steep risk. New economic analysis from the world, from the WEF projects that extreme fragmentation of the financial system could decrease global GDP by roughly 5%, which would be a shock. Okay, it says more than the setbacks caused by the 2008 financial crisis. The challenge ahead lies less in predicting the U.S. dollar's ongoing dominance versus fall, but also in managing the transition to a more multipolar financial system. Gotcha, Esau. Gotcha. Right? To a more multipolar financial system, one that maintains global stability while better serving the developing world, both small and great, rich and poor. It says the dollar may remain primary, but maintaining this lead is likely to create more constraints, shift institutional relationships, and require greater collaboration. All should be one people. They know what they're doing.
Mr. President, hello. What great honor. What great honor and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges we face today are monumental. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership in this regard is fundamental and paramount. We are here to hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges. As you might expect, Mr. President, your return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussions this week. The discussions among 3,000 political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders moderated by my colleague Børge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald.
Yeah, so we already know what's going on. They're all in on it. And this is the final leg of the Roman Empire coming into place. And it brings the question. It brings the question again, why the U.S. dollar will be indispensable as the world's reserve currency until it's not. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rahara, Kakadash, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, many blessings and salutations into the helpful elect. Shalom.